Up next, we are going to invite Mr. Kim Jonghyun, who's the Managing Director of KIP Southeast Asia. Now, he'll be delivering his keynote address. And what's interesting about it is Mr. Kim will be sharing with us his knowledge on the brief introduction of the Korean startup ecosystem. He's here in our Singapore studio as well. Mr. Kim, it's over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to talk about Korean venture capital and startup ecosystem today. My name is Jonghyun KIM from Korea Investment Partners. We call our company KIP as an abbreviation. I'm in charge of KIP Singapore office as a managing director. Before starting my speech, I would like to introduce you to KIP and my background. KIP is a subsidiary of Korea Investment Holdings, which is a listed company as well as one of the top financial group in Korea. KIP is a leading venture capital and private equity firm with ample investment experience. For more than 30 years, since 1986, we have shown steady and unprecedented investment performances in various industries. KIP is currently managing a total of 46 funds with the asset under management of $3 billion US. With the expertise in fund management, we have sustaining full IRR of 16%. Our investment range is wide, from the early to the pre-IPO stage, including private equity investment, but we are trying to pursue investment opportunities in Series A or B in the growth stage to make a balance between investment, return, and risk. Before I was dispatched to Singapore, I was in charge of Fintech investment team in HQ. During the past 5 years, I invested in about $80 million US in 24 domestic and overseas startups. Out of my portfolio companies, some have grown into leading companies in every fintech sectors, such as P2P lending, crowdfunding, robo-advisor, blockchain, and insurtech. Then let's move on to Korean startup ecosystem. In 2011, the Korean government developed the Pangyo Techno Valley Industrial Complex near Seoul to maximize the growth potential of high technology startups. The success of this initiative convinced the government to actively support domestic and international startups, particularly in the field of information technology, Internet of Things, virtual reality, fintech, artificial intelligence, and blockchain. Government programs and funding are cultivating startups to be the new engines of economic growth, as well as embracing opportunities from the fourth industrial revolution. Thanks to these government initiatives, the number of startups in Korea has rapidly increased from 65,000 in 2011 to 98,000 in 2017. The Korean government has provided $3 billion US to startups since 2015. This is the highest government backing per capita for startups in the world, according to Forbes. Additionally, $9 billion US innovation fund to finance promising startups was rolled out in September 2018 by the Ministry of SMEs and Startups and the Financial Service Commission. As Korea is striving to embrace opportunities of the digital economy, it has become an attractive destination for foreign startups. There are well-known Korean unicorns that have achieved multi-billion-dollar valuations over the last 5 years, including Kakao, Coupang, and Naver. And Korea's tech startups such as Neoplay, Line, Next, and NCSoft have become global players in the IT and gaming industries. Korea was ranked the first in the Bloomberg Global Innovation Index in 2019. Google opened the first ever Asian Google campus in Seoul. Leading global investors actively investing in Korean startups like BlackRock, SoftBank, Goldman Sachs, the Sequoia Capital, Formation Group, Rakuten, Tencent, and PayPal. Major Korean companies such as Samsung, LG, Lotte, Hana, and SK are pursuing collaboration with the startups through their own startup accelerators and incubators. As a result, the Korean startup ecosystem is developing these days. As of 2018, Seoul and neighboring Gyeonggi province were home to 467 organizations, including accelerators, venture capital funds, and government institutions. The list is a snapshot of the major players, including accelerators, co-working spaces, and venture capital firms. There are dozens of accelerator programs that create and support hundreds of startups. The Korean accelerators provide co-working spaces, mentorship for product development, and support. They develop new program every few months, and their participation has become an essential path for most startups. Accelerators conduct recruiting programs every 3 to 6 months, and international startups registered in Korea can apply to all these programs. Why are Korean startup ecosystem thriving and international startups coming to Korea? Korea has the world's fastest internet speed, with an internet penetration rate of 93%. And Korea ranks consistently within the top 4 countries with the fastest mobile internet and has the most widespread 4G network coverage. And 5G was launched in December 2018, and the nationwide rollout was completed by the end of 2019. This infrastructure will give easy access to Korean commercial market and consumers to domestic and international startups. Korea's strong purchasing power has made the country a major test bed for some of the world's most successful brands. Geographically, in the center of Asia, Korea is considered a springboard to Northeast Asia with access to 2 billion potential high-tech consumers. The Pangyo Techno Valley offers tax breaks, low interest loans, and large co-working spaces to international startups. There are many fast-growing industry sectors, such as food tech, digital health, ad tech, virtual reality, and fintech. Out of them, I would like to introduce fintech industry in detail. Korean fintech is rising fast due to the highest levels of smartphone penetration and fastest mobile broadband services in the world. Fintech growth to date has been concentrated in digital payment and remittance. We can classify Korean fintech industry into 9 categories. Major services in payment sectors are Kakao Pay, Naver Pay, and Payco. Kakao Collect and Naver Link are major blockchain protocols. There are business finance applications such as Wihago, Gyeongninara, and Jarvis. Fount, Blio, Quarterback are the major robo-advisors. There are business finance P2P lending sector is very hot in Korea. Together Funding, Terra Funding, People Fund are the leading players in P2P lending sector. What is the top crowdfunding platform? And Korean crypto exchanges are well known for high transaction volume and variety of traded coin and tokens. Corvit, Bitsum, Upbit are the major players. Although InsurTech is in the early stage in Korea, GroupH, Bodak, and Bomap are trying to penetrating into existing insurance market. Korean government revised the Personal Data Protection Act this year to allow My Data service, so it is in the early stage as well. There are many startups in My Data sector these days. Fintech investment amount surged in 2015 after initiation of the government deregulation. The amount in 2018 was 109, was 198 million US dollars. It was more than 10 times higher than that of 2015. Due to the increase in the amount of investment, the amount of investment per deal also increased significantly. In 2018, the average value for deal was 11.6 million US dollars, and median value for deal was 5.3 million US dollars. This increase proves the size of the Korean fintech startup since 2018. As I said, payment and peer-to-peer lending take the largest share by fintech industry classification. A daily transaction of simple payments was 217.7 billion won, which is about 200 million US dollars. The top players in the payment sector, NaverPay and KakaoPay, take 30% and 16% market shares respectively. What is more interesting point in Korean fintech market is the growth of internet banks. There are just two internet banks in Korea, KakaoBank and K-Bank at this point. When the Korean government first approved an internet bank, many experts were very skeptical of their success because Korea is one of the countries with well-developed banking infrastructure. However, KakaoBank proved with a remarkable performance that the internet bank business model could be successful in Korea. As you can see, the number of customers and total asset grew significantly. It secured over 10 million users in 2 years, and total assets came to 22.37 trillion won as of 2019. KakaoBank reached the break-even point after 3 years of establishment. And KakaoBank is about to do IPO 5 years after its establishment. Demonstrating further support, the Financial Service Commission introduced new regulations to assist fintech industry. These will be implemented through the introduction of new technologies in payments, blockchain, and more areas. It will promise to benefit consumers and improve the available service offerings while creating employment opportunities at the same time. On top of these initiatives, Korea is an ideal market for consumer testing, with almost half of the country's population in tech savvy. Koreans are early adopters of new technologies, making the country a perfect test bed for the North Asia market. Fintech deregulation is key to Korea's national agenda in 2019 and will be heavily supported by an unprecedented set of initiatives throughout the year. The regulatory sandbox allows companies to try out new technologies without excessive regulations for some period of time. This exemption is applied for 2 years, providing the startup services are classified by the Financial Service Commission as innovative. These regulatory sandboxes for fintech companies that use new technologies like blockchain, machine learning, and big data will be exempted from existing regulations. This will lead to innovation in the fintech space and create promising fintech startups in the future. Lastly, the open banking initiative cut the cost of payment processing fees within the first half of 2019. Additionally, the government initiated the My Data program using the concept of open banking to accelerate innovation. In the second part, I will introduce you Korean venture capital space. There are two sources of funding for startups in Korea: government funding and private venture capital funding. The Korean government started providing funds for startups in 2013 commencing with a $50 million fund, which was increases to $1.3 billion in 2015. This commitment demonstrates that Korea has a large and diverse range of investors, Korean-based funds, corporate venture capitalists, and international venture capitalist firms. Since its foundation in 2005, the Korea Venture Investment Corporation, KVIC, has supported innovative SMEs by operating the Korea Fund of Funds. The KVIC manages several Korean fund of fund and matching fund, including angel investment, venture M&A, industrial technology commercialization, and foreign venture capital investment matching fund. The Korean fund of fund has reached $4.1 billion at this moment. There are corporate venture capital and private venture capital in Korea. Korea's largest conglomerates such as Samsung and Hyundai pioneered in-house global venture capital units. Samsung Next, the venture capital investment fund of Samsung Electronics, has set up offices in 5 strategic locations: Seoul, Berlin, Tel Aviv, Silicon Valley, and New York in the past 5 years to invest in early-stage software and service startups. The investment focus is on 3 areas: connected vehicles, AI, and blockchain. Since its start in 2013, it has pursued strategic investment opportunities beyond their regional hubs to bring their product and services to Samsung consumer worldwide. The Hyundai Motor Company has established an international corporate venture capital unit, which is called Hyundai Cradle, with the regional offices in 4 selected markets: Israel, US, Germany, and Korea. It focuses on the 5 areas of mobility, smart cities, energy, robotics, and AI. For international startups, it provides an opportunity to not only capital, but also the access to the parent company and their diverse portfolio of consumers and industries. We have many private and foreign venture capital in Korea. SoftBank Ventures, which was established in 2000, is a subsidiary of SoftBank Korea. It primarily invests in early to growth stage startups with the potential to expand into Asia. Atos Ventures is a first-stage venture capital firm based in Silicon Valley with 16 years experience in Korea. In 2016, the firm raised $100 million to invest exclusively in Korea. Qualcomm Ventures is the corporate investment arm for Qualcomm, with the investment in more than 120 portfolio companies worldwide. In 2016, it created $50 million fund to nurture Korean startups in the field of 5G, IoT, automobiles, and other mobile services. So far, I have been talking about Korean venture capital and startup ecosystem. Through this webinar, I hope KIP to be connected with you in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kim, for taking the time this morning to speak with us. We just heard from Mr. Kim Jonghyun here in our Singapore office.